Random thoughts. In this video, I'm going to read a part of Sir Richard Burton's book, First Steps in East Africa, Exploration of Harar, where he discusses the nature of the Somali people, and he calls them to be a melancholic race of people. And I was wondering whether they were actually melancholic or there is something he missed about the nature of the people, because I don't think he stayed with them long enough for him to understand how they viewed the world and how they interacted with the world. I guess he looked at them and he decided that these people are generally melancholic. And if you don't know what melancholic means they are generally sad people, basically. It might not be like 100% that's what the word means, but that's what basically it means, that they are generally sad people. And this is what he says. At Aden, they appear happier than in their native country. That's the Somali. He says that the Somalis saw in Aden, in southern Arabian Peninsula, they were happier. And he says, there I have often seen a man clapping his hands and dancing, childlike, alone to relieve the exuberance of his spirits. So he says, you've seen Somali men in that part of the world being so happy, including dancing by themselves, just looking very happy. And then he continues to say, here they become as the Mongols. Now, back at home in Somalia, they look, they carry the appearance of the Mongols, or the temperament and the emotional state of the Mongols and other pastoral people, a melancholy race who will sit for hours on a bank gazing at the moon or croning some old deity under the trees. So he says that while at home, they are a melancholic people, meaning they are not jolly or happy, but they are also not like showing sadness, but they look not excited, we can say. And he compares them to the Mongols. Now, the Mongols, of course, these people came from northern parts of what we know today as China and conquered that entire region down up to close to India, I think, or part of the Indian subcontinent. So he thought the Mongols were melancholic people, and he thought that the Somalis were also melancholic. And he thinks that pastoralists generally are melancholic people. I don't know how that is, or if that trend really exists. It's not something I've come across being discussed about being pastoralist and being melancholic. I've not come across that conversation. This is the first time I'm seeing somebody pointing out that people who are pastoralists tend to be melancholic, because that's what he seems like he's saying. So he talks about a Somali person sitting by the river looking at the moon. Now, with this picture, I'm thinking there's a possibility that's not melancholy. Could be, somebody being highly conscious of the existence of a human. And such people tend to pay attention to nature and things around them. That's my personal opinion. So while he thinks of it to be melancholy or not being happy and jolly, I'm thinking maybe it's something else that is not actually a negative thing, but actually a positive thing. He says, this state is doubtless increased by the perpetual presence of danger and the uncertainty of life, which make them think of other things than dancing and singing. So he says, because of the environment where they lived, there was always danger, or there was a threat of danger. They became this melancholic. But this is the 1850s, actually. And in 1850s, I think, or I believe that most parts of the world, people lived in very harsh environments, very harsh environments. The majority of people, I think, even today, very many people live in very harsh environments. Maybe there is actually a relationship between being melancholic and the environment you live, and whether you feel threatened, but maybe they also not, because I don't just think that for them being in a country where there was always that danger, that they necessarily had to be melancholic, because I don't believe so. So that's what he says about the temperament, I can say, of the Somali people. Those are my random thoughts.